Out of these relationship reality franchises, which one will be cancelled next? Because when it comes to delivering healthy, long-term relationships, these shows fall real short.
I didn't lie to you.
Tell me the
Exactly.
truth.
I didn't lie to you.
Off.
You are a compulsive liar.
Wow, like this was a whirlwind.
And are we turning off more now because we know how the sausage is made?
She's only here to be the butt of some joke.
So this is a setup, and I'm I'm the old desperate one.
By the way, the one that you would bet the house on is dying isn't going anywhere. And I'll tell you why.
This is the best sex of your life. Have you noticed that I don't return the compliment?
Hello, I'm Wilko. This is Rehashed, and if you like trash, mess, and drama, pull up a chair. In the world of reality TV, the genre love, relationship, romance is a biggie of a category. There is no clear source that is totally credible, but going off some data from 2023, we can see that romance reality accounts for around 39% of all reality TV. And we love watching it for the competition, even though technically a lot of them aren't competitive love romance shows. Specifically, the drama, we do crave that. And even if most of us don't admit it, the chance to see two people actually fall in love.
I love you.
I love you. Did we just say that?
Yeah.
But a lot of these shows have come under fire lately, and most of it is around abuse and duty of care. In this video, together, you and I, we will scientifically prove the show that is next to get the flick. Oh, and I've got a PowerPoint to prove it. Yeah, and it's just called Untitled 2, because the first one I kind of fucked up. So anyway, and it's just as scientific as the matchmaking on some of these shows. No, I don't want to show you too much. Thanks to shows like Unreal, who was co-created by someone who got to be an evil producer, we got to see what really goes into the making of reality.
Sarah Gertrude Shapiro, supervising producer and co-creator of Unreal.
It was inspired by a time in my life that I sort of realized that the price of my soul was a paycheck.
You're just gonna have to work it with Adam, okay? You make him want you, and then get him on board with it.
She goes on to describe that she became a mastermind at manipulating and destroying women before having a breakdown and getting out of her contract by fleeing the state. And it doesn't matter which reality show you pick here, someone has accused it of being scripted. And it's not put down word for word, but producers have a cast on a whiteboard with their character trope, and then they just massage it from there. And when I say massage, I mean manipulate the shit out of it.
No ordinary citizen would have any idea what they're signing on for.
My point is, thanks to shows like this and producers sharing secrets on the internet after NDAs run out, we know much more than we ever have before. And this knowledge has left us with kind of a bad taste in our mouths. A lot of the producers who do end up speaking their truth rarely take ownership of being a part of the problem, but it's clear they are. And even though we know so much more about reality, why do we persist? To figure out the next franchise that'll feel the chop, you and I need to investigate the issues that have added fuel to the fire. Oh, and we've got some criterias, okay? Ratings, cash cow. Okay, does the money outweigh the problems? Also on our list, sorry, I can only see Charlie. Charlie looks so sad. He's like, why did you move the screen? I know you rest your head on the screen, baby, but it's just got to be up here for a second. Also on our list, and this will play a big part, is, well, I previously called it body count, but let's say duty of care because that feels a lot better. The scandals that have hurt the franchise, and then we have legal regulatory. I know it sounds boring, but this is important. These are the ones that actually have broken laws, or they're currently being heavily investigated. The red disappointment dots. Which one is going to rack up the most? All right, let's talk about participant dis. Okay, which ones do we know that the little lab rats and all of these little experiments and love shows that have spoken out against them? Which ones have been totally fluffed up by these shows? Love is Blind has been a real pillar for Netflix since it launched in 2020, and COVID probably helped. We were all in our own little pods dating with a wall between us, and it was mirrored on our screens. Season 1 handed us a cheating scandal, but that's the stuff we live for, so it can carry on. It wasn't until Season 2 where former pod hopeful Jeremy Hartwell sued Netflix and the producers of the show, saying that they worked 20 hours a day, were deprived sleep and food, and were plied with as much alcohol as the show could give them. The National Labour Relations Board wanted to reclassify participants as employees so they could be afforded some more more federal and state legal protections. Hartwell's class action lawsuit ended up settling for $1.4 million, but unfortunately, they didn't learn. And in 2024, there were 2 complaints in the same vein from participants, and once again, it was investigated and it was found that the claims had merit. During this time, they had that botched live stream finale on Netflix. It was like the second thing that they'd ever tried to stream, and it never ended up being live. God, we waited so long for that to start. It never did. And also during that time, there were more complaints of high levels of exhaustion, lack of sunlight, and poor duty of care when it comes to mental health. Danielle, also from season 2, told Business Insider, along with some other participants, that she had informed producers of a previous suicide attempt. I kept telling them, I don't trust myself. I've tried committing suicide before. I'm having suicidal thoughts. I don't think I can continue in this. And she was still convinced to stay because she would be a fan favorite. And even as recently as October of 2025, Stephen Richardson, a blind love hopeful, launched a class action lawsuit against production and Netflix, once again stating inhumane conditions and severe labor code violations. This is still in legal process, but other participants have denied that this was the case at all for them. Still, it does seem like this show has a track record of locking them in a warehouse and not letting them rest. Actually, now that I think of it, pretty much every season we just see someone randomly asleep on couches, right? Oh, also there was that girl who just fell asleep while a guy was pouring his heart out through the wall. What was her name? Oh, that was such a good moment. This certainly means that we have to put up some disappointment dots for Love is Blind, right? Legal, bad. Duty of care fails, bad. But cash cow, well, it does really well for Netflix, so it still does have some support here. And also, here's the thing with Netflix is that they don't have to answer to advertisers. They only have to answer to the people who subscribe to the platform, and most people obviously still love Love is Blind because it still does well for them. In saying that, these are the numbers that Netflix release. So we just have to kind of take their word for it. Let's move on to 90 Day Fiancé. It once was a trash, mess, and drama powerhouse with characters you swore were absolutely not real.
Here's Emmy's here. You know, doctor, I've been a really bad nurse.
If you don't know the show, they follow couples who are in the process of the 90-day fiancé visa in the USA, where their long-distance lover heads stateside to be with their betrothed, and they have 90 days to make it legal. Over the years, there have been some real unhinged storylines, but originally it was much more documentary style. They just film it all and they let the crazy chips fall where they may. A bunch of cast members have accused the producers over the years of certain things, specifically in the editing, and the franchise left out one big background check for this guy, Jeffrey Paschal. He features on season 4 of a 90-day spin-off before the 90 days. Jesus, there are so many spin-offs of this fucking show. He had himself some federal drug trafficking convictions, 2 actually, when he was cast on the show as this Tennessee boy just looking for international love. He'd also been arrested just before filming the series, charged with aggravated kidnapping, domestic assault, interference with emergency calls, and vandalism with attacks on his then fiancée, Kristen Wilson.
The domestic abuse victim telling authorities Paschal grabbed her by the neck, then slammed her head against the wall several times.
Even with all this being on record, they still film it and TLC air it. Don't worry, he didn't get a call up to the tell-all reunion because of his legal issues. He ends up getting sentenced, but his overseas lover, who featured with him on the show, is still fiercely defending him. Like I mentioned earlier, I know that there's a bunch of other things I could add to the 90 days list, but mostly any outrage over this series has dissipated. If anything, the thing that's going to kill this franchise is oversaturation with so many different spin-offs and the lack of interest. Look, 90 Days has certainly failed a number of times in its duty of care, specifically with this one, knowingly setting up a woman with a violent, convicted criminal. That's a duty of care fail, full stop. It's confusing though, because the woman he was wooing has stood by him through the conviction and into the years of the sentence so far. Oh, but we give it a disappointment dot for sure. Boom! No, wait. God, how do you work PowerPoint? Doesn't make as much money, nor does it get the ratings that it used to, because there's just so many different versions and it goes forever, and who can keep up with all these different couples? Duty of care fails. It's got a couple too. Legal, regulatory, hasn't been in trouble as much as you'd think. Or maybe as much as it should be. There's also been leaks from cast and crew, and they've pointed to high Franken editing, which all of these shows are guilty of, and extreme psychological manipulation. I think it's only a matter of time before something else comes out about this train crash, so Let's hope it's not as dark as the next one. The Island of Love. Love Island. And it's mostly the UK version that we need to talk about because it's the original. Even if I omit some of the very dark things that were involved with the show early on and just focus on producer manipulation in the villa, it's still not great. But to quickly mention, there were 3 that were linked to Love Island in 2018, 19 and 20, and they revolve around the show's aftercare, which was reformed after the backlash to the show's network ITV, and there was some calls for its cancellation. Just so horrific. But on the show directly, it has some questionable producer specials. In 2021, Love Island provided one of the most complained about TV moments in UK history. 2 Love Islanders had a blow up after some footage was played back on movie night. It showed a very edited version of Teddy, one of the Islanders, and his bedmate Faye watched it. And when she did, she fucking flipped.
I told you the truth, and you told me jack shit of what was on
So
our
I lied to
fucking
you.
screen.
I lied to you. No.
Yeah, you did
exactly.
fucking tell me the truth, did
No.
you?
I mean, say it louder for the back row. Ofcom, that's the Broadcasting Regulatory Authority in the UK, had 24,921 complaints for this one. And it wasn't just the way that she snapped that pissed people off. It was a bunch of complaints about how the show's producers removed all context and manipulated Teddy's footage to make him look way more shonky, and he wasn't being bad at all. Although there was technically no breach of broadcasting code, the Love Island producers were forced to rewrite the playbook when it comes to how it's produced, but still, it didn't stop a bunch of issues. In saying that though, it seems that producers have handled potential issues much faster than ever before. Like in the most recent season, there was a guy named George Knight, and he mysteriously left the show for family reasons, which was partly true. But the bit that was left out was that he was given repeated warnings for using unacceptable language and offensive slurs, and the show asked him to leave. These 2 things happened at the same time, so family issues was the public reason until a little bit later it was revealed that he had a sloppy mouth, but we don't know exactly what he said that prompted the removal. Love Island itself has had a bunch more moments that have become Ofcom worthy, but even though they assessed the complaints, they have never actually done a formal investigation into the show. So no red dot of disappointment, but let's do it. Okay. Legal regulatory. Nothing's really happened. Still though, duty of care fails. Abso-fucking-lutely. But I think it's just fatigue with the ratings that could eventually kill this one. The UK one specifically. Year on year in the UK, it has seen a huge decline in viewership. Back in the day with just TV, it would pull 6 million eyes at its peak. And now, even with streaming, it only gets about 2 million because people have so much more choice. But here's the thing that gives it the 3 dots. See the science, the 3 dots? It's the global licensing of the brand with the likes of the USA version, which has exploded, and also the in-show product placement that has kept the franchise very lucrative. So unless there's some other truly terrible results, I think we can safely say that Love Island will be around for at least, I don't know, science says 5 more years. I'm being just as scientific as these shows behind me, okay? Actually, let's just cross Love Island off the list. It's certainly not going to be the next one to be cancelled. But now we've got ourselves another franchise that's been limping for quite a while. Actually, a really long while. It might just need to be put down.
Why are you here?
I need to talk to you.
No.
I mean, where do we even start? Let's just place a bunch of disappointment dots in all the categories because there is plenty here for its case for cancellation. Just put a bunch of dots up. I feel the dots in early. But let's explain it. The Bachelor/Bachelorette franchise was a must-watch relationship format when it launched in 2002 and 2003, respectively. It also had the same host for most of that time, Chris Harrison, who was the captain of the ship until 2021. He had got himself into a bit of a bind, defending a participant who had some racial social media posts dug up.
Well, Rachel, is it a good look in 2018 or is it not a good look in 2021?
It's
because
not
there's a big
good
difference.
look ever.
Oh, Chris, not a lot of time between 2018 and 2021. Oh, good. He later apologized for his ignorance and stepped down with a big payout from the network. I didn't realize this at the time, but it was like $9 to $10 million that he got paid out. Side note, then he went to work for Dr. Phil with some sort of morning show with his partner, and that sucked and it also failed. And I think the network went bankrupt. Anyway, since then, the franchise has been on struggle street. They already had seen a decline in interest over the years, which had made sense with audience fatigue, and the pandemic didn't really help. But actually, just a decade into its run, a class action lawsuit was brought by two African-American men because the producers had never cast a non-white lead. A federal judge dismissed the case, but it did lead to some change. Well, not with everyone. In 2020, a previous Bachelorette, Hannah Brown, casually drops the N-word during a live stream, and in more recent times of 2025 saw two showrunners depart the show because apparently they created a toxic work environment. They were accused of running the show on fear, mental abuse, mind games, and aggressive behavior. That sounds like fun. And this was after the show's creator Mike Fleece was pushed out 2 years prior after an internal investigation found workplace misconduct and racial discrimination. Everyone accused of all of those things has denied them for legal reasons. Speaking of denials, I love that everyone at the time when Unreal came out, like everyone involved in the show of Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, none of them would admit that Unreal, the scripted television show, was anything like their beloved Bachelor production.
I've seen one scene of it. Here's what happened. I turned it on for 2 seconds. I was flipping through and I saw this girl run out and yell, "Stop the roll," or "Hold the roll," some movie term, I guess. That they yell at movies, stopping the roll. And I was like, well, and then I just was done with the show. I haven't watched it. I was like, okay, well, it's not very realistic.
Well, it sure sounds like your internal investigations would disagree. That's why this bad boy definitely has some disappointment dots on this board. And we've got to get to the latest disaster because it could just be the final nail in the Bachelor coffin. Mormon TikTok queen Taylor Frankie Paul was cast as the Bachelorette, which was always a very questionable decision given how toxic she has proven herself to be on her own show. Actually, pop her on the whiteboard. Wait, write it down, because we need to actually dig down on this woman, because I really don't understand. Why is she a thing? Taylor Frankie Paul. She was cast on the show even after a 2023 arrest that she pled guilty to a third-degree felony count of aggravated assault on her then-boyfriend. A bunch of her shitty behavior is documented on the show Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and just before her season of The Bachelorette is ready to air, the police get into it again with them, with an open domestic assault investigation with allegations from both Taylor and her ex-baby daddy. And you know that arrest from 2023? Well, the footage is dropped by TMZ just before Bachelorette is about to premiere.
You need to just calm down.
Hey, stop.
Stop. I don't have your phone, Taylor.
Then where is it?
You threw it at me.
This is also toxic and unhinged, but it isn't news to Disney Corp. They're the company behind both of her shows. They knew that this happened and they cast her anyway. And because of this footage dropping, they halt the series from airing, which is totally filmed. And even when they didn't air it, producers kept editing episodes behind the scenes with the hope that they would eventually go to air, and they still might. I just think that this franchise has been limping for so long. Can we take it out the back and give it the old Yeller treatment? Not just yet. It's been renewed by Disney with a brand new season of The Bachelor that's going to air in 2027 after some promised restructures to the show. Okay. By the way, I'm going to ask you one question in a second, and I don't think you're going to like your own answer. Before I get to that, I've got to thank the members of this channel, and I would love you to join so you can support me while I do all this very hard work finding all the trash, mess, and drama for you. If you don't want to be a member and you and I just want to have a one-off thing, just a little bit of no strings attached, that's fine. You can also donate by giving a super chat, or you can click the link in the top comment and go to our website, rehashed.com.au. Imagine if everyone who watched just gave $1, it would confirm that I could continue doing this for you, sweet baby angel. Support now if you can. The last franchise on my list of possibles is a complicated one because Married at First Sight's formats are not the same across the board. Well, at least in the past. The original Danish format has no group dynamics. It focused on a few couples and had them legally wed, then followed their journey over a couple of weeks. It was very much documentary style. The Australian one, which is the most popular worldwide, can't even argue about it, it was almost identical to the Danish one when it first aired. It only had a few couples and it focused very much on their relationships over just 6 episodes. Versus today in 2026, there are so many couples and so many episodes. It's not unusual for a season to end up being 40 eps long. Plus, the show is rarely about the relationships. It's about the group dynamic drama.
Seeing that, what was that like for you?
2 people that can do that are just, I don't know,
shit humans, basically.
The producers engineer it to get the right combination of toxic as fuck people with people who genuinely want to find someone, true hopefuls who get destroyed by the experience. Even someone who is just moderately problematic can be made out to be the most diabolical human with some producer coercion and edit manipulation. And unlike the American version, well, previously, which has mostly tried to stay away from the highly manipulated storylines and character narratives, the UK version jumped right on the Aussie MAFS bandwagon. Largely for both the Australian and the UK formats, the complaint is duty of care. The producers willingly do their worst to the participants of these shows, and when the season is over, they just dump them. And for many of the cast over the years, they did not provide any of the after-show support, which I think is a bare fucking minimum. With the Australian one, they've had accusations of poor support and toxic conditions since at least season 6. More recently, the government regulator, Safe Work New South Wales, launched 5 separate health and safety investigations into the production company Endemol Shine, which produces the series. Formerly, they only gave them 3 improvement notices. These legally require the show to reform its reporting of incidents, its training, and how it handles extreme mental and physical risks on set. But the issues have been prevalent on the show for some time. Not always the production's doing, but they certainly have a fair idea of who they're casting. And those people have been really bad. Bryce Ruthven had a woman on the outside waiting for him while he went on the show to marry a stranger. He then also got accused of coercive control of his TV bride Mel. But now they're happily married with a couple of kids. So I guess love can truly find a way sometimes with these shows. It's very rare. Debatably, MAFS Australia's biggest villain is Olivia Fraser, and she got investigated after circulating some nude images from another participant's OnlyFans account without consent. Later, she claimed they were publicly available images, but that didn't really change the on-screen narrative.
I just mentioned it like it didn't come with any malice. No judgment, girl. It's 2021. You can do what you want with your body.
Olivia has since called for reform on the show, saying, "I vote for reality TV reform in Australia. I vote for it to be regulated, fair portrayal," she wrote. "I vote for participants' right of reply while airing, no mandatory non-disclosure agreements. I vote for transparency." She also points out that in Australia, they will hold you to the edit forever. And she's not wrong, we really do. The NDAs are so icky, you know what I mean? Like they just can't say anything because they will get sued. In 2024, head of 9 Content, Adrian Swift, said they have tried to move away from the screechy and the shouty. "We still give it all the drama that it needs, but we've tried to absolutely make sure all the relationships we see genuine potential in." Okay. But in 2025, this guy named Paul, well, he got mad about his TV bride and then punched a fucking hole in their apartment wall.
And I turned around and I went to bed, and that's when he got really angry and he, punched the wall.
Threw a punch in our bedroom door.
And the latest season was peak screech, so Adrian Swift from 9 is full of shit. There are even far more serious allegations like a bride being filmed in the shower by production without her consent, non-consensual touching from a groom, and production blocking exits so they can't leave. More and more is coming out each day as the dig gets deeper. And you'd think that even the basics would be adhered to, just like don't cast people with a criminal record. But they do it time and time again, baby. And this is just a drop in the ocean compared to the UK version. The investigations into MAFS UK are so dark. I mean, so dark that Channel 4 have removed all episodes from all the platforms. This follows an expose from the TV show Panorama. They explored the dark side of MAFS UK. 3 brides came forward with allegations of alleged sexual misconduct, 2 alleged and the one who didn't stay anonymous with these accusations said that old mate didn't follow what they'd consented to.
My partner came inside me without my consent. We had agreed that we were pulling out. I was shocked. I was confused. We said that we weren't doing that.
I mean, if true, gross. By the way, that guy has denied it. Channel 4 said that they had commissioned an external review into contributor welfare and would get the results in a few months. Well, that was mid-May, and really it can't be too far away because they have a whole season of MAFS UK in the can ready to air. But it's all been very quiet since. Channel 4 do want to make it clear though, they have been vocal about how the show has not been cancelled at this stage, but you have to imagine its days are numbered. Former production staff have come forward to say that senior staff on the show had a healthy obsession with sex when it comes to the participants on the show. Yeah, hello, are they doing it? Yeah, God, we need them to do it on the show and then talk about how they're doing it. And we know this is the case. The show pressures cast to fuck as quickly as possible, constantly asking them in interviews during filming. A guy who ran Channel 4 in the 80s and 90s has spoken out. I'm sure everyone was desperate to hear from him. He said that he would never have commissioned such a show, which is probably true, but that was another time for TV and you would have done some much other shady shit in production, so I think you need to get off your high horse. What I will agree with is when he said, when you have to put in so many safeguards before the show, during the show, in post-production and through post-transmission care, in the name of what? In the name of entertainment? And he's not wrong. If you have to put in so many layers of procedure just to make sure that people are okay within this format, you need to be asking, hey, should we be doing this anymore? But people seem to not care at all how much it breaks a human. Speaking of, Married at First Sight UK and Australian ratings are growing year on year. And sure, the UK version had its major sponsor end its affiliation with the franchise, but I'm sure there's some other brand just waiting in the wings. And the US format, well, they've now started their transition into the rage bait version that has been so lucrative. They even pulled over one of the UK experts, Paul, to make the format feel a little bit more familiar to international fans. Remember, they make more money if they sell it to other markets. Oh my God, we get to go back to the PowerPoint, Untitled 2, do your worst. So if we look at this extremely scientific PowerPoint, you'll see that even though the MAFS franchise is way out in front with dots, oh, so many disappointment dots, it's also extremely shielded by high ratings and big money. Big money. I mean, the money's so big, the only thing that's going to bring this format down is the regulators, and I think the UK might be the first. Unless the networks can prove that contestants won't have unfair edits, safety during filming, and aftercare to deal with the mammoth amount of backlash the show brings, I think it's totally plausible that it just won't make it. And you agree with me, sweet baby angel, with over 50% of the vote going to the MAFS franchise. Oh, and that question that I've got to ask you that you're not going to like the answer to. Before I get there, if you've come this far, put ATW in the comments to let me know that you and I have gone all the way. Also, double check, have you liked the video? And possibly, if you're really nice to me, given it a hype. Double check that you subscribed as well. Okay, here's the question. Even if we take a fraction of these allegations at face value, do you think you won't watch it anymore? Go on, be truthful. Don't you lie to me, you sweet baby angel. No matter how bad people get treated on this format, will you stop watching it? MAFS UK is the most likely to be cancelled, and if it goes, the other versions will slowly follow suit. Actually, the Australian one, it might be not slowly at all. But if people keep watching, who knows? And speaking of keeping watching, if you like drama about Married at First Sight, you're definitely going to love this one about toxic love, Ryan and Jackie. Oh, that's an excellent video if I do say so myself. And if you want something else reality-based, Tyra Banks is suing Netflix. It is also here. Watch it. Keep watching. Watch forever. 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 That's very MAFS coded, isn't it? My friend's a teacher, and he said that he has seen his students do better PowerPoints. I'm a 40-year-old man, and this is the best I could do.